All right, so our last episode last week was the desperate housewives of Haran. Do you have an extra one, or are they all gone? No, that's fine. That's fine.
Here. I'll share.
Okay.
Oh, you have an extra?
Okay. Last episode, desperate housewives of Haran. Why do we have desperate housewives of Haran? For those of you who were here last week, shed a little light on that. It's not the same producer as the Desperate Housewives of Los Angeles.
They all wanted the same man.
Well, they all got the same man. I don't know if they wanted him or not, but they got him, right? Wound up with almost a competition between Leah, who was Jacob's first wife, and Rachel, who was the wife that he loved. And he wound up working for Rachel for 7 years. He got Leah. He got upset. He made a deal with Laban, his father-in-law, to work for 7 more years, and he just had to finish out the week, and he got Rachel. So he's now here 14 years. He's been working. Now he has, he came to get a wife, and now he has 4 wives and 12 children, 11 sons and 1 daughter so far. So we're going to pick this up. So we wondered who would win. It became a competition between Leah and Rachel. We saw it was kind of an ugly story, a lot of sister envy, family relationships. We have been talking the last couple weeks about how Israel is a dysfunctional family. And guess what? We all come from dysfunctional families. Is there anybody in here comes from a perfect family? Okay, Leave It to Beaver's family is not out there. It's one of the reasons why we need a Savior, right? And so, at any rate, by the time we wound up last week, the score was this. It was Leah. This is literally how they were kind of keeping score. Leah had 9, and Rachel had 3. She only had 1 child, but her handmaiden had 2, so she had 3. Leah has 6. Her handmaiden she's had 7, including her daughter, Dinah, and she's had, and her handmaiden also had 2. So this week we're gonna move on from the desperate housewives to the Sting, because that's what. Is anybody familiar with the movie The Sting? That's kind of was set. Okay, so we're going to kind of jump right into this here, and we're going to be in Genesis chapter 30, and 25 to 30 is where we will start. And we'll kind of go from there. So let's have everybody turn to Genesis chapter 25. I mean chapter 30, verse 25. Excuse me, chapter 30, verse 25. And Steve, are you all hooked up and ready to go? Yep. Okay. Verses 25 to 30.
After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so that I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I've done for you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He added, "Name your wages and I will pay them." Jacob said to him, "You know how I have worked for you and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for my own household? What shall I give you?" he asked. "Don't give me anything," Jacob replied. "But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat."
Okay, hang on just a second. You went one too far.
Sorry.
That's all right. So we get from here that Jacob wants to go to leave and go home. with his family. We'll talk about that. We also get some. What did you pick up about Laban's worldview? Divination. This is a kind of an important word. Huh?
That was the first time this morning that word. I thought, my goodness.
My goodness, yeah. Laban is not necessarily worshiping the same God that Jacob has been introduced to. Okay? All right, let's see where we go with this here. So just to give you, somehow the birth of Joseph, his youngest, the baby here, signaled that it was time for Jacob to leave Laban and return to his land. He came with nothing but his personality last week, you remember? And now he's got all of this. Okay, all of this except he doesn't have any money or he doesn't have any wealth. Did you notice that Laban had not paid this guy anything? Hadn't paid him anything. Doesn't own anything. He's just been taking care of his sheep and I suppose eating. You know, that costs something, but at any rate, that's the situation. He's been working as a shepherd for 14 years. He wants to go home. Send me on my way so I can go back to my own homeland. This is important, right? I mean, 14 years ago, he had received the blessing that God was going to give him that land. Okay? But he's not on it. And his kids haven't been born on it. So Jacob not only wants to return to his home, but he also to his land. He wants to raise his kids, his children, in the land that was promised to his family, as per the covenant. Okay? As God had promised it to him. So Jacob's looking over the situation, and he's going, well, you know how I have worked for you and how your livestock have fared under my care. Jacob is a very good shepherd. And how they have increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you, Laban, wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for myself, for my own family? Okay? So we get from this, his herd is greatly increased, and Jacob is a very good shepherd here. Okay? Now we do 31 to 36, Steve.
What shall I give you, he asked. Don't give me anything, Jacob replied. But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages, and my honesty will testify for me in the future. Whenever you check on the wages you have paid me, any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark-colored, will be considered stolen. Agreed, said Laban. Let it be as you have said. That same day he removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, all that had white on them, and all the dark-colored lambs, and he placed them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend to the rest of Laban's flocks.
Okay, wow. Let's see what we can get out of that. What shall I give you? Don't give me anything, he says. I'm going to go through your flocks today, Jacob says, and I'm going to take out anything that is a spotted one, or a speckled one, or a striped one, or a dark one, and those will be my pay. Now, and Laban agrees to that. Now, what do you want to bet which group of sheep were in the minority? The white ones or the speckled and the striped? Yeah, right. The speckled, okay, that was way in the minority. He's looking over the situation. He goes, I'll just take those guys as my wages. Because I know what to do with them. I know how to make them increase. And you can have the rest of them. Well, so what does Laban do? He twists his mustache, his handlebar mustache, and he goes, what can I do with this? He says, okay, before Jacob got out there to separate all those sheep out, he sent his sons out there to separate all those sheep out. Speckled ones and spotted ones and dark ones and striped ones and polka dot ones and plaid ones and whatever. And he says, now you guys get out there quickly and take those sheep and go 3 days distance, because I don't want these sheep to ever come together. Got it? And Jacob was going to be left to take care of Laban's sheep. And what color are Laban's sheep?
White.
White. There you go. So that was the part of the sting. We would call that the offer. That was the offer that was made. And sure enough, he'll take those for his wages. So this is what Jacob was going to get, and they even disappeared. He wants all the black lambs and the speckled ones or the spotted ones or the goats to be given to Jacob as payment for working for Laban. And Laban is to have all the white sheep. Okay? That's all you need to know, I guess. Okay, it's a deal. It's a deal. Jacob states this. He says it's that way, and they shake hands on it. Any goat, and he makes the statement now. This is part of Middle East negotiations, and out of his mouth comes his words. Because don't you know that a man's word is his bond, right? Okay. Any goat in my possession that is not speckled, okay, or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark colored will be considered stolen. Now that's the arrangement that they're going to have between them, right? Okay. Agreed, said Laban. Let it be as you have said. There's the bond thing, and they probably shook hands on it, or that's what we would have done in America. Meanwhile, Laban is plotting his plot here to make sure that Jacob only has white sheep to look after. Okay? I don't think I've ever seen this as clearly as I have this year. I mean, all of a sudden it's kind of like one of those, well, duh. Okay. Jacob's flock is to consist only of speckled or spotted dark sheep. He says, any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark colored will be considered stolen. Therefore, Jacob's goats are to be speckled and spotted. Jacob's sheep are to be dark colored. You got the picture? I'll say it 5 times, maybe we'll understand it, right? Okay, so what's in it for both of them? Laban attempts to keep Jacob with him. Of course he does. He's a good shepherd, right? He's going to attempt to keep him with him to continue to prosper through Jacob's work. He knows that Jacob's work is blessed. So as long as Jacob is there looking over his sheep, it's going to be good for Laban, right? Jacob sees an opportunity to build his own economic base in order to sustain his family, right? Every guy's got to see it that way when he finally leaves. So Jacob still owns nothing from Laban even after 14 years of working for him. Okay, so unblemished animals would be worth more, evidently. That must be how they saw it over there. And Laban agreed to the deal, but he immediately went and removed every single one of them. So we're going to have something that looks like he removed all the speckled and spotted and street guys and took them away. So there they go. They separate them by 3 days' journey. Sheep are so stupid they would never find their way back. Unless they have to be led back, okay? So a deal's a deal. A deal's a deal, right? A deal's a deal. 2 guys made an agreement, right? Even though one guy was kind of being nefarious about it. A deal's a deal. But always remember and never forget. Covenant is a covenant. Jacob has a covenant with God. Okay? And that covenant is he's going to be prosperous and he's going to be returned to that. He will have that land, a piece of land that we talked about a couple weeks ago. All right, so Laban is now going to try to make this absolutely impossible for Jacob to gain a herd of his own. And if you would take us 37 through 43, this is actually a very short portion today, so 37 through 43.
Jacob, however, took fresh cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. When the flocks were in the heat and came to drink, they made it in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animals that belonged to Laban. Thus, He made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animals. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in the troughs in front of the animals so that they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban and the strong ones to Jacob. In this way the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to his own large flocks and female and male servants and camels and donkeys.
Okay. All right. All right, so it's clear that Jacob is learning to live by faith here. And in the arrangements which he made with Laban, his success is entirely out of his control, if you will. He doesn't know what he's going to have. So true faith does not negate human effort, and Jacob could have simply sat on his hands and said, okay, well, God, what are you going to do? And I wonder today how many people just kind of sit on their hands and say, okay, God, I'm your kid. What are you going to do? Take care of me, feed me. What are you going to do? I don't have to do anything. I'm yours, right? I think that's maybe it might be the wrong attitude. He's given you a brain to think with. He's given you talents and skills to use. Okay. So he could trust God that God's going to help him return to the land with a very large herd of sheep, right? Okay. I want you to remember this. A couple weeks. It's been a couple weeks for us that we talked about Jacob's ladder. Remember this? Remember this. Just a minute. I'll have you just remember this. This is back in Genesis 29. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and all that you give me I will give you a tenth." Now, do you remember this? I'm going to show you something really fantastic here in just a second. Remember this, Jacob's ladder? He went to sleep on that stone, which is probably the Holy of Holies later on. I want to show you something. I think it's just going to make you go, ooh. Maybe. Let's see here. Hey. Not that one. Not this one. This one. Here we go. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome?
How did they do that?
I don't know. You gotta be Chinese to be able to do that or even think that way, evidently. What? Steve, did you say something?
I said, how'd they do that? One step at a time.
One step.
That was that.
Tied to the ground. It was awesome. I'd love to see something like that in person. Anyway, we have no idea. Just didn't answer it, and you just raised more, right? Okay. All right. So when God's love and our pain kind of collide, the heavenly patterns of His hand can get revealed. So after entrusting the future to God's almighty hand, Jacob set about accomplishing all that was within his power to be successful in his work. That's all God asks you to do, is whatever is what's within your power to do it, okay, and he'll help you. That is, he got to work, and with God's help, he would outsmart Laban, and that's exactly what we're going to see here. So, Jacob's given white sheep and goats to shepherd, and without any spotted animals and without any dark sheep, it's highly unlikely that the remaining white sheep will give birth to spotted or striped sheep. Except we know from biology, 10th grade biology class or 9th grade biology class, whatever, that about recessive genes and so forth. So we got white sheep, and white sheep are usually going to give you a white sheep, unless that one of those white sheep has a spotted animal in it. Then the chances are that one of those at some point in time down the line is going to be spotted or streaked or spotted. So he's basically dealing with white sheep. And let's see what white sheep here. Oh, see, I got white sheep. I got white. I must have counted sheep last night or something, but we got white sheep here going on here. Okay. So the sheep and the goats are going to fall into two groups. Jacob's sheep to keep have stripes and spots. They're going to be his wages. Laban's sheep are white, the second group. They are to remain Laban's animals. But Jacob is dealing with this flock, not this flock. Laban's sons are dealing with that flock up there. He's okay with this one. All right. And Jacob's job is to tend Laban's sheep. So here's the sting. Jacob is put in charge of all the white sheep. I keep saying this over and over again, don't I? Okay. What Jacob had to ensure that the white rams did not mate with any of the ewes. That was his job. I mean, he's not going to sit on his hands and just let things happen. He's going to make sure that no white rams are mating with any of the ewes at all. He needed black rams to serve all the ewes. So he had to wait for one of those recessive guys to be born. Is it a male? Good. But let's grow it up to feed it. That's why he's there another 6 years. Okay. He's growing up some black and spotted rams to service the white ewes, if you will. Okay, here's his choice. He could castrate all the white rams that were born. That way, they wouldn't have a chance to mate, or he could prevent the adult white rams from getting to the ewes by building an enclosure using a fence made out of branches of poplar, almond, and trees. Right? That makes sense. And especially, and maybe when they went to the well to get water, to drink water, he could kind of, those ones that were in heat, he could put the male that he wanted to with them, so forth. Okay. Now, when somebody read this for me, it has a loud voice, or I'll come stand by you so you get on the tape. Like you.
She's standing here. Oh, voice. Sorry.
I mean, do I see a loud mouth? I meant a loud voice.
Do you want me to read?
Yes, I do. I would. Please, thank you.
Matthew 25, 31 through 34.
Yes.
When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on his left.
Okay, wait just a minute. There's more. Okay.
Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life."
Okay. At some point in time, it seems to me like that's what's going on right now. There are goat nations and sheep nations that are beginning to show themselves. Okay? And that's why it is so important to pray for your leaders. of your of countries, right? Because the leaders happen to lead the people. We have a leader that is going to lead us toward the sheep gate. That would be much better than going toward the goat gate, right? Countries or nations are making decisions right now, even as we speak, as to where they're going to go. I don't know what it means, but I just thought it was very interesting, and I didn't have a chance to look at or follow it up or look at it very closely, but I just heard last night that it was kind of like right there at the last, almost at the last minute, on Friday night before Monday morning came and the weekend in between, Mexico decided that they would go along with President Trump's economic, or with the border the crossing thing, and that they would tariffs and so forth. So the tariffs will not have to be put on Mexico now. And that's a very good thing, because Mexico is a $700 billion trading partner with us. And, so people are working things out. And President Trump has been meeting with world leaders all across the globe all week long. Right? It's amazing. Leaders are coming down and being thrown out. And with the possibility of new ones being put in, with new ones being put in, obviously, and nations are making decisions as to where they're going to be. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, our Speaker of our House, of the House of Representatives, while Mr. Trump is in Europe, says, "I just want to see that guy put in prison." This is crazy. This is crazy stuff. And so at any rate, folks are making decisions and so forth. All right. Fun facts. Just a few fun facts here about sheep. Number one, in North America, sheep and goats are easily distinguishable due to the specialization of breeding. Okay? Sheep are fluffy and woolly, and goats are not. And sheep are cute and goats ain't so cute. Right? All right. However, throughout history and still today in the Middle East and Africa, sheep and goats are almost identical. Yeah. And no one but a shepherd can easily tell the difference. I remember driving, a gazillion years ago now, but we had crossed over into Jordan and spent the night in Amman, and a driver drove us all the way down Jordan to Petra the following day, and he kept having to stop he'd say, sheep and goats. There was a sheep herder that was taking his herd, his flock, across the road, and you couldn't tell the difference. He said, sheep and goats? Those look like all goats. He said, no, there's sheep in there. Oh, sheep, they all look alike here, he said. Whatever.
So which one looks like, the sheep look like?
Sheep look like goats.
The
Sheep look like goats, mostly.
So they're not woolly and furry?
No, it's very strange. Yeah. So the application of that kind of a concept is there's something that only our shepherd can see in us that is unseen. It's an unseen thing that tells God whether we're sheep or goats. Okay? We can't be the Holy Spirit to somebody else. The Holy Spirit knows. It determines whether God sorts us to the left or to the right. Okay? And believe me, we don't want to be a goat. That's just not going to be fun. Sheep have a reputation, not goats. Sheep have a reputation for being stupid. However, again, the sheep of today are much different than the sheep as they were created. Again, they have been bred in such a way as to produce fluffier, dumber sheep. Is that what I said? Yep, that's what I meant. But they are and always have been dependent upon their shepherd, and they are very defenseless. Kind of like turkeys. Turkey would go out they look up and it's raining, they'll drown. That's how they're not. So sheep and turkeys aren't the smartest animals in the world, okay? Goats, on the other hand, have a reputation for being independent, opinionated, and curious at best, or vulgar and dangerous and destructive at the worst. So for both sheep nations and goat nations, shepherds protect the sheep from their environment, and goat herds, rather than a shepherd herd, it's a goat herd, a guy that herds goats. Goat herds protect the environment from their goats. A goat will eat anything. Okay? So for us to be God's sheep, we must depend on Him to defend us. And if we push, take, destroy, bully, then we're bully goats. Or billy goats. Okay? A sheep is led by its shepherd, and a goat herd is led by his goat. Somebody read that. Make sure I said that right. Somebody read it out loud.
Literally, sheep follow the voice of their shepherd and trust him to lead them to food, water, and safety. If they wander, the shepherd will go out and rescue them and bring them back to safety of the flock. Sheep separated from the shepherd and flock are nervous and vulnerable because they have no defensive or offensive survival ability. That is true.
It is there. They're not there. They are just dumb. Now, read the top part. Yeah,
A
two.
sheep is led by its shepherd. A goat herd is led by his goat.
Exact opposite. Right? A goat herd is going to follow his goat around, but the shepherd is going to say, "Come on, let's go." And the sheep are going to listen to the goat or to the shepherd's voice. So he's talking about getting good quality and poor quality. There's a kind of a chart of what a good sheep and a bad sheep look like. See how thick leg and see how scrawny and close together he is. So this is whatever, good stock. Okay. Good idea there. Okay, chapter 31. The first, or 32 rather. Is that where we are? 32? 31? Where are we?
31.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Yep, I just flipped the page. 1 through 3, Steve.
Just a second.
You thought you were done.
You thought you were done. We're almost done. 3 more verses.
Jacob heard that Laban's son were saying, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father." And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you."
Okay. Laban and sons are feeling like they have been cheated a little bit. Right? Have they been cheated? Somebody said yes. Who said yes? They were cheated? Laban was cheated?
No. Jacob.
Oh, Jacob was cheated. Was Laban cheated? No. Did Laban make a deal?
Yeah.
I'm going to take you back to Esau and Jacob. Was Esau cheated?
No.
Did Jacob and Esau make a deal about the birthright?
I think Laban was manipulated, though.
How was he manipulated? He was outsmarted.
He was outsmarted, yeah.
He was outsmarted. When you play card game with Bill, do you go, "Oh, you want to see what's in my hand?" No, or do you want to beat the game? You know, it's a game. Yeah. Deb and I, we trade hands sometimes.
He's not cheating, it's his fair.
Okay.
Know how to use the rules in the game, I think.
Is that what Jacob did? Was Laban trying to cheat Jacob? Laban was trying to cheat Jacob, and Jacob just he outsmarted Laban, and with God's blessing.
I would stop and say it was manipulation, because he used those sticks to help.
No, that's just good farming skills. That's just smart. That's smart.
Yeah. I think in life there's a lot of things where people use those sticks and stuff, and it's cheating.
It's not a thing you can say baby's right, but he said morally right.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing in the United States, abortion's illegal, but it's not morally right. We have how did God look at the situation? And
Okay,
honest.
we looked up how long does it take to have a baby lamb? What's the gestation time of a baby lamb? Because we want to figure out, for a human being it's 40 weeks, right? For a baby lamb it was ridiculous.
Wasn't it 44?
No, it was like 20. Don't you remember? Ask Siri.
Oh, I don't remember.
Somebody ask Siri, what's the gestation time for a sheep?
Siri, what's the gestation time for a sheep?
Yes, the Lord calling Jacob back.
17 days between heat periods. However, it can vary from 14 to 19 days. Gestation period. 147 days. 12 weeks.
12 weeks? 12 weeks. Okay, 4 months? All right, that's fine. 4 months. 4.5 months. So there can be excuse me just a second. There can be two birthings every year. Possibly. Okay? Possibly. And usually sheep, at least here in America, a lot of times they have twins. Okay? So as he's just using good farming skills, I'm sorry, but those are good. I come from a farm. Those are good farming skills to put the strong one with the one, the strong bull with the herd that you want, and the offspring are going to reflect who the father is, and he's separating them out, and he's making sure that his sheep don't mix with the white sheep. Okay, so as they're having more and more sheep, I can see where he would multiply his sheep fairly rapidly over a 6-year period of time. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, the Lord calls him back. It's to go back into the land, but it's also to protect the children, the boys that are growing
Yes.
up, and
Yes.
the back influence.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it was time. It was time to go. It was time to go.
If I can say something, Susan.
Yes.
That's his entire livelihood. He will only get it if he is very clever.
Yes.
This man, as soon as Jacob said, okay, give me the spotted and speckled, he said, okay, go get all my spotted and speckled and take it away
That's
so that he
right.
can't have anything.
He doesn't want him to have anything. He wants him to stay there and just be his shepherd and raise his flock. He wants to at least to delay the process as long as possible. And good. If that guy just all he wants is speckled sheep, then we'll see to it he doesn't get any speckled sheep. But that was his plot. Okay.
Is it possible that Laban thought that if all he had was white sheep, that there would never be...
I don't know what he thought. I think that they were watching. He was probably sharp enough to. He's watching them. He watched sheep his whole life long. He knows that every once in a while there'll be one that throws one.
But it would be so few and far between.
Yeah, so you
Jacob
So you develop that, and you put the speckled one with the. The genes are going to start catching up with them. I don't remember how that works. You have to go ask my high school biology teacher. But I remember making those little charts.
What we're kind of forgetting here is that God was the one that was reproducing.
That's right.
Creating the productivity and the way he wanted.
God was the one that was doing the blessing part, and he was
The
right.
land will produce for anybody but the Israelites.
Right. And he's blessing Jacob, and that's part of the covenant. I will bless you. I will bless you, and I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. Right? I mean, there you go. Right? That's all part of his inherent right, and we need to keep that in mind. You guys are part of the blessing. We need to be going around thanking God thank you for letting us be part of your blessing. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing to be part of God's family. Not to be taken for granted, for crying out loud, right? Okay. Jacob has taken all, this is Laban's idea, or his son's, Laban's words. Jacob has taken all that our father owns, says Laban's sons. That's not fair. He's taken all that our father owns. And I'm sure that Laban has God left him with at least as many sheep as he had 20 years ago when Jacob came. I'm sure that it was just that much. So stay tuned for next week's portion. We're going to hear Laban's daughters sing a very new song than they were singing last week. You know what the song is called? Next week. Sing a new song. Stand by your man.
If you rewind back to verse 38 and chapter 30,
Okay.
reading through these verses here, it doesn't look like he made any corrals or did any kind of, if you will, major directing of the sheep or controlling of the grading, but beyond putting stakes in the ground
Hold the head.
across, and it was the striped speckled sheep that came up and conceived in front of those, and the ones without it did not. So it's almost like we're, elsewhere we see where it requires a physical effort on our part, and then to take that first step, and then God really, it looks to me like He did the rest.
Mm-hmm.
He just put the stakes out, and whenever the speckled sheep and striped sheep and stuff came up to it, they bred, and the white pure ones didn't. There's no real shenanigans going other than He called to God and put those stakes in the ground.
Right.
The sheep came up and bred it.
Yeah. Well, but he's putting the black rams with the sheep. I think he's using all the stuff that he's got to breed. And there's in the interpretation and in the different commentaries that I read this week, some of it said it doesn't have anything to do with imprinting. You can't have a sheep look at a peeled piece of bark and go, okay, I'm going to have. No, I mean it makes more sense that they're carrying the recessive genes in them anyway, and as they come to the water troughs, they kind of capture them when they're in heat, and then put the kind of ram that he wants to with that ewe that's in heat while she's drinking, and she's kind of caught there. That makes sense to me. That was the commentary that made more sense to me, because you can't get it out of the English, I don't think, and I didn't have time to look at it in the Hebrew. Yes?
Isn't there something in the sap and those
I don't know.
branches that put in the water?
I don't know, Joel. I don't know.
The thing is that they believe God, both Laban and Jacob, and so as Jacob did this with the reed, they started to believe speckled on the line. And that just
whatever. I mean, whatever. What we got on the ground, what those white ewes were throwing were speckled sheep, and then the speckled sheep threw speckled sheep. And then the speckled sheep probably threw striped sheep, and then pretty soon you're into plaids. I don't know. But I want to show you something. Don't go anywhere. I want to show you something. Me too. You've heard of Pendleton, haven't you? They're made out of wool. Yeah, right.
That's where they get that.
That's where they get that. That's not the right one. That's not the right one. This is the right. Keep sheep calling. This is the right one. I want you to see. I want you to watch. Yeah, this is what I want you to see. Joel, you didn't turn my sound down, did you? No. Okay. Watch what happens. The sheep know their shepherd's voice. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
We'll have to go out and, yeah. Now watch what, something interesting happens here. See, some of them are wandering away? Maybe not. Some say, well, this is not our group. They followed the other sheep. See? Isn't that fascinating? I don't know where this guy's from, but he's a believer.
Is he about done?
Ben de sigaret. Jeg kjenner hyrans rødt. Og han kjenner Tarve.
And he knows theirs. One more, just a minute.
This is Ray Carmen over here at Namrack Farms. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your day. And Caesar said hello to you. And I'm over here. It's about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. The sheep are all hanging
That's
out
in
here
sync.
in the shade already. But remember Tony? Tony Two Toes Malone, a.k.a. T-Bone? He's the new one that we just brought in. And he was brought in from another shepherd just north of us. And when Tony got here, the very first thing he did was run to gather in with other sheep. He wanted to be around other sheep. You see, even now, he's a little nervous to be by himself. He's looking around to make sure there's other sheep around. And the truth is, when I call, he had no clue who I was. He doesn't know my voice. Those first few days here, he was clueless. However, when I would call, my other sheep would come. And being a sheep, and the sheep follow sheep, Tony would follow him. Now, he kept his distance. He kind of took up with Susie Q Knucklehead, and a little bit wary of me, and just kind of keeping his distance. But I keep calling. I'm persistent with my call. And I'm patient because I know in time, he will put my voice together with the call to come. And he'll understand. He'll learn the sound of my voice. And the Good Shepherd, he is patient. He is kind. He knows that the new sheep in his flock, they need time. Time to learn the sound of his voice. Time to learn his call. And he lovingly and persistently continues to call, knowing that they'll huddle up with the other sheep and that they will come when the other sheep come. They'll probably keep their distance at first, but eventually they'll learn the sound of his voice and come when he calls. Now y'all go enjoy the shepherd, and I'll see you soon.
You guys good.
He doesn't sound like he's from Israel.
No? He's from Kentucky, I think. Okay. Okay, I think we'll just end it there today. Jacob he knows it's time to go. He's got his herd, and he knows that Laban is upset with him. So the whole world is upset with Israel, seems like, right?